Hello everyone, my name is Dorian and welcome to Oulton Park, no chicanes. This is like a right-hand oval and it's a very fast track. Good luck out there. Work on a qualifying time, really do practice it because overtaking here is going to be a menace. And I'm just going to show you guys the lap real quick and then we're going to go over it corner by corner. Also took the iRacing baseline, made a few subtle tweaks just to make it a little bit safer. And I'm going to share that in my Discord, link in the description below. If you enjoy it, leave a like. If you want to see more track guides and race videos, then subscribe to the channel. That's it. See you guys on the track. Okay, so we're coming up to turn number 1. Let's look for a braking point. It's gonna be right before this yellow sign here. Okay, so we're gonna brake from 6th into 5th very quickly. Very tiny peak of around 35%. Immediately into 5th gear as I turn in the car. You want to turn in late here to kind of prevent the understeer on the way out to avoid the 1X. Trail braking just a little bit. But way before the apex, I'm going to start accelerating back out again. Squeezing the throttle. I'm never slamming it, just squeezing the throttle. Putting about half the car on the curb or across the curb right here, so it's not an off track. And letting the car run wide. I'm going to open up the wheel very abruptly to kick the back end out a little bit so I can avoid the off track here on the exit. If you turn in a little bit later or carry it slightly less speed, it's not as big of an issue. But if you really want to try to max it out, then you need to do that sometimes. Now, next corner, up to 6th gear, staying on the right here. And as we have this dip here, as the car kind of sinks down, this is when I'm going to start braking. You can see my nose is pointed downwards. I'm going to brake from 6th into 5th, around 50% pressure. And turn in quite late. I'm not looking for an early apex. I don't want to hug the curb the whole way through. I want to catch it right at the middle. Trail braking ever so slightly. Just letting the car run pretty neutral at this point. And from this point on, it'll be very gradual, very smooth acceleration throughout this corner. So I'm aiming the car towards the middle of the curb, mounting it fully. You can see my throttle implementation is very smooth. At no point am I stabbing it. So if we'll just take it nice and slowly, you'll see it increasing. Still hugging the curb on the way out. And opening up the wheel quite late, again, to kick the back end out and make sure I don't get the off track here. The track limits are a mess on this track. You really got to be careful. Now, for this corner, the first thing you want to keep in mind is with cold tires, you cannot take it flat out. The car will snap. So what you want to do is start lifting about the halfway point. I'll show you where. We're going to start to turn in quite early. So right on the beginning of this curb or the first cone, I'm going to start to turn in the car and look for the inside. If you run cold tires, in fact, I would suggest running from the middle and not trying to hug the inside, because that'll prevent the rears from snapping a little bit better. But when the car is warm, a shorter route, taking it to the inside is faster. As you can see from this point on, the back end wants to start kicking out and you're going to see me opening up the wheel and trying to correct it. So this is where, with cold tires, first, second lap, even third lap if you're drafting, I would definitely lift. So keeping the car on the inside here, I'm trying to take a nice short route and line the car up nicely for my braking point. I want a straight car for that. We got this patch of dirt right on the road, very obvious spot. So we're going to brake slightly past it and before the end of the tire wall. So that will be an indication for us on when to start braking. So right around here, peaking at around 60%, very quick release. The car has a tendency to lock up under braking here, so you want to peak high and release quickly. All the way down into third gear, and I'm gonna stay in third as I trail brake. I'm not trying to hug the curb the whole way through, just from the middle. So I'm turning in the car, trying to put it on the inside, just gonna put it in second now. Alright, so at this point, put it in second, give myself a little bit better rotation, put the car as close to the curb as possible. That was a bit far for me. I would like to put my right front right around here. And that might give you half a tenth on the exit. Pretty much slamming the throttle at this point. This is like the only corner where I do that. So I would say 70%, a little bit of modulation, and then back to 100. Just to make sure I don't get too much understeer on the exit. There's tons of camber, so it will hug you, and the car will have amazing grip on the exit. Opening up the wheel, letting the car run wide, and you're through. From this point on, nice short route, hugging the inside, taking the car to the left, and lining ourselves up for the next turn and point. So I'm going to show you a slow motion part of this corner, just so you'll see where the line is, and then we're going to go over the procedures. Very important to turn in early here, and you don't want to turn in late. It's just going to upset the car too much. It will have too much understeer. We won't have any grip. So basically what I'm doing is I'm starting to turn in before the curb here, slightly before the curb. Right around here, as I start to turn in, I'm lifting and dabbing the brakes ever so slightly. You can actually just lift here. I find dabbing the brakes a little more consistent. This is similar to the kink on Laguna Seca, where you can have your way with both. But for me, it's a little more consistent. If I touch the brakes a little bit, put some weight in the front, I will turn in nicely. I'm not really losing any time. And my apex is this little guy right here. That's my indication on where I want to put my right front. Because all the weight is on the left, you can mount it fully and clip the dirt here a little bit. It's not going to be an off track, and the car won't get upset. All the weight's on the left. The right side of the car is probably hovering around the air a little bit right now. And as I cross that apex, I would call that the first apex if this is the second one. I'm starting to accelerate again. I put it in around 90%, and I weigh just a little bit to make sure I don't get too much understeer on the way out. Opening up the wheel to straighten out the car. Using the curb on the way out, and you're through. Hugging the car to the left here, and then opening up the car, letting it go wide, and then closing it back up again. The reason for that is because I want to line up the car to the left here to get myself a nice wide approach for the next double apex. Now, we're going downhill here, and as soon as the car straightens out, there's no real braking point, but that's sort of my indication. So you can see there's a downhill section here. You go through it. As the car compresses back and straightens out, that's when I'm going to brake. Very short period of time on the brakes, very small peak, around 35-40%. Pretty immediate release down into fifth gear. And neutral on the way in. Hugging this curb nicely, that's as good as you want to take it. I was a bit aggressive on the throttle, on the acceleration, back out again. It's just a bit too much. It cost me about half a tenth probably right on the exit. That's because it washed me out a little too wide. I missed the second apex. And yeah, clipped the dirt on the exit a little bit. So it was a hairy moment. Didn't get an off track though. I was about right on the limit. So what I did there to kind of prevent myself from going all the way to the outside is I waited, and then I snapped the wheel back up again and straightened it out very, very quickly, which rotated the rear violently and caused the car to rotate and kind of saved me. I was ready for that. I initiated that, and that's why you see a big correction here. That's why I survived it. So just be a little smoother on the throttle, and you won't have that. You're not supposed to go this wide. You don't have to struggle with understeer here. You can just take it a nice, cleaner line. Just don't miss the second apex. Even if you have to miss the first apex a little bit, to make sure you're clipping the second one, that's even preferable. Lose half a tenth, but it'll be much safer. Now, looking for a braking point here. I don't really see one. Obviously, we have this sign. It's a good indication, but I'm already going to cross it before I start braking. So I would say right around here. There is this patch of dirt. Let that be an indication for you. I'm gonna peak pretty high, around 65-70%, but release very quickly. The reason being, I want to have a nice slow entry here. It does look like there's tons of camber and can carry you out, but there's a sudden change of direction. The car gets kicked out. We really want to have a balanced car. Our turn-in point is this green hut here. I'm going to turn in right at it. Releasing the brakes more and more into third gear. Not trying to go too early because I want to clip it like a late apex. So right around here at the end of this curve, that will be our apex. And I'm already back on the power. That aggressive, but somehow made it stick. You can be a little smoother, and you won't hurt too much in terms of time. 70%, and then as the car kind of mounts, just goes uphill and straightens out. That's when I can go back to 100% again. Now it's going downhill, and you can see the car is washing out. I'm correcting it. So that's the result of my aggression on the early part. If I was a little bit smoother, I wouldn't have that. But it didn't cost me time, I think. Now sticking the car to the left, take a nice short route, and that will give us a 117.134. Hope you guys enjoyed the track guide. If you did, please leave a like. If you want to see more track guides and race videos, then subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments what you think. See you guys in the next video. Bye bye.